Last night, I finally did it. After 13 years of being an exclusive Android user, I bought my first iPhone in 14 years. So in this video, I'm going to give you the 7 reasons why I'm transitioning from Android to iPhone, and 4 things that I'm not really looking forward to during that transition. But I'll also talk about which iPhone I bought and why. And this is the first video in an upcoming installment. I'm going to try to do some regular videos talking about my transition, the things that I'm liking and not liking, and I will have some tutorials coming up as well about how to use the iPhone camera and some of the accessories that I'm using as I get to know this phone. First off, if you guys are new here, my name is Susie, and I usually do tech reviews and tutorials centered around compact vlogging gear and cameras. And usually I'm the authority. I'm talking about products that I've used very much, and based on my experience, I'm giving you recommendations and guides on how to use those tools. In this case, I'm a total noob. I have not used an iPhone since the iPhone 3G, which came out in 2008. And so ever since the iPhone 3G, I transitioned over to Android. This was my first Android phone, the Google Nexus by HTC. I actually really like this phone still. Just the size of it is so great. But yeah, I've been using Android ever since 2009. And so I'm honestly really nervous to use the iPhone. Like, I bought it, picked it up last night. I unboxed it just to look at it, but I have not turned it on or anything because I'm really nervous. Like, I don't know, there's just something about switching from something that I'm so familiar with. This is my latest phone that I've been using for the past few years, the Samsung Galaxy S10. I love this phone so much. It's actually been kind of a transition for me to emotionally transition anyway, from going away from something that I'm so familiar with. I can use this phone with my eyes closed. And this phone, I'm intimidated by it. But the first thing I'm going to do is pop it open, show you the phone. So I ended up going with an iPhone 14 Pro. The reason why I went with the Pro rather than the Pro Max is size. This is my S10. I think it's about 6 inches. It's a little bit more narrow, but in terms of the length, it's just the right size. I didn't want to go with the Max because it just felt too big. The Pro is the right size for me, and it also has the triple camera. My S10 was actually one of the first phones to have a triple camera. It had a triple camera before iPhone did, actually. And so I'm just used to having that third lens. If I went with the iPhone Plus or the iPhone 14 Plus or the regular iPhone 14, I would be sacrificing that third lens. And so I went with the Pro just to have that extra lens. But yeah, I mean, I still have the cover, so let's actually peel that off. Ooh, brand new. And so first impressions, when I'm unboxing this phone and feeling it for the first time, it just feels so luxurious. It feels nice. I love the Samsung phones that I've been using, but they do have kind of a plasticky feel. They don't feel as polished and as nice in the hand as the iPhone does. And so I remember that from my 3G days, that I really liked the build quality of my iPhone even back then. And so yeah, I'm liking the premium feel of this phone so far. But yeah, I went with the iPhone 14 Pro, got it in gold, 128 gigs, so the smallest size. It was just over $1,000, I think, which is a lot to pay. But yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into this guy. But for now, let's start charging it, and I'll talk more about why I'm transitioning from Android to iPhone. So reason number 1 why I'm switching over to iPhone from Android is FaceTime and iMessage. So my family, we used to all have Androids at one point, but slowly but surely everyone in my family has transitioned over to iPhone. So at this point, I'm kind of the black sheep, where I'm the only one who still has Android, and so I miss out on FaceTime calls, on iMessage chat strings and all that. And so now that we have a baby who, is 18 months now at this point, like, I don't want to miss out on the opportunities to be on FaceTime with my family and allow my son to also be on FaceTime to see them regularly, because my family doesn't live close by. And so family and everyone being on iPhone and being able to FaceTime with everybody and chat with them on iMessage is really the number 1 reason why I want to transition over to iPhone. The second reason why I want to switch is AirDrop. So again, I've been using Android for almost 13 years now, and for as much as I love Android, The one thing I don't like, even to this day, is getting my files off of the phone. It is surprisingly really difficult, or at least I have not found a really easy, consistent way to do that. And since, I had the triple camera, I've had it for a while, I actually film quite a bit of B-roll on my phone. And so, the photos are relatively easy to get off, but when I'm shooting like 4K 60 frames per second video on this phone, it is a nightmare trying to get that video off of the phone. It's like I gotta use a bunch of cables, and like the Android program that pops up, it honestly crashes a lot of the time. So it's so hard to do that. And I have AirDrop. I actually do have a Mac. I have a MacBook Pro 15-inch 2015. I don't transition my Apple products too often, as you might pick up on. But so I do use one Apple product, which is my laptop. So I use AirDrop on that. And it's been so easy. And so people tell me that, hey, if you have an iPhone, it's as simple as doing that to get your files off. And so I am so ready for AirDrop. The third thing that I'm really excited for in this transition is MagSafe. And so I didn't even know about I've heard about MagSafe, but you other Android users out there are probably like me, where you kind of pay attention to iPhone stuff, but since you're not really in the ecosystem, you don't really care. And so I've heard the term MagSafe, but until yesterday, I didn't really know what it was. I had to watch some YouTube videos of someone telling me what MagSafe was and all the accessories for it. So the more I'm learning about MagSafe, I'm actually super excited about it. So if you don't know MagSafe, like ever since the iPhone 12, the iPhones have had MagSafe in them. There's like magnets here. And so there's a bunch of accessories that are built around MagSafe, such as a MagSafe charger, which I just bought last night. I haven't even unboxed it yet, but I'll be able to just snap it to the back of the iPhone and charge it that way. So I'm pretty excited for that. There's also like wallets. There are, I think even PopSocket makes some magnetic pop socket things so you can attach them to the phone. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to exploring MagSafe. And you will see a lot more videos on those accessories as I start to acquire them. The fourth thing I'm looking forward to on the iPhone is the camera. And again, I really have not done a ton of research. I did enough research just to know which iPhone I wanted to buy, but I don't know a whole lot about the camera. I have heard in the past that the iPhone camera is superior to Android, and I don't know, I was really happy with the camera phone on my Samsung Galaxy S10 to the point where I haven't even upgraded this phone for several years now. So yeah, I have some pretty high standards when it comes to camera phone quality. And actually, if you guys don't know, this whole channel started with a phone. It started with my Samsung Galaxy S8. I took that phone out on my honeymoon and I filmed so many videos with it and was so impressed with the quality that I decided to start a YouTube channel because of my experience with that phone. So I've always been a big proponent of mobile phone photography and videography, and I'll explain a little bit more in the next point actually. But yeah, I'm looking forward to testing out the camera on the iPhone to see how it compares to Android. The fifth reason why I'm transitioning over to iPhone is access to different kinds of apps and accessories. So I've been living in the Google Play Android world for a long time, and I'm quite familiar with the apps that are available to me, but I haven't been to, I don't even think it's called iTunes anymore. That's how long it's been since I've used Apple things. But the iTunes, the App Store, whatever it's called for iPhone, I'm looking forward to exploring that to see what kind of apps are available, because I know that there are quite a few that are exclusive to Apple that I've never been able to even try out on my Android. So looking forward to that. And also accessories. Like again, MagSafe is one. I didn't even know about MagSafe until last night. And just a bunch of other iPhone accessories that I've never been able to try out before. And the sixth thing that I'm looking forward to somewhat, I don't really know actually if this is going to be a good thing, but Siri. So I've never used Siri. We use Alexa here at home. We use, OK Google or Hey Google. But yeah, I've never used Siri before, and I'm really curious to see how that voice assistant has progressed, if it's any better than Alexa. I'm sure that it actually is, because Alexa's really not that great. So yeah, I want to see how great Siri is, and I think it'll be a lot better than Bixby. which again, I love a lot of things about Samsung and Android, but Bixby is not one of them. It's Samsung's version of Alexa and Siri, and it's been okay, but it's kind of one of those things that even though it's on your phone, you don't really use it because it's just honestly not really that helpful. So yeah, I want to see how much I enjoy using Siri and if I end up using that voice assistant more often as a result. And the last reason why I'm going over to iPhone is related to some of the points that I mentioned before, but just iPhone is more popular, I would say, than Android. I mean, maybe Android, you know, there are a lot of Android users out there, but because there are so many different phones under Android, nobody really uses the same phone. I mean, Samsung is kind of like one of the flagships, but you know, Sony makes a phone, LG, HTC, Huawei, all of those. Like, there's so many different brands of phones under Android. And so it's been a little bit tough in terms of making content because, again, we started this YouTube channel with our phone. And so I have some really early videos talking about mobile photography and videography, how to vlog with your phone. Those videos didn't really do the best. Perhaps it was just our skill at the time. Those video quality also is not the best, I'll be honest. But it's also been tough not to be able to use iPhone as a keyword or a title. And so part of the reason why I want to transition is because iPhone just has more draw and appeal. There are fewer models out there. So in terms of me doing product reviews and tutorials, I think that iPhone is just a more universal keyword and it's going to appeal to more people. And actually that leads me to a bonus reason of why I'm doing this transition, and that is I'm not really a brand loyalist. I like to move around a lot and try different brands. You guys might notice that with my cameras. Like, I've shot Nikon, Canon, Sony, and Fujifilm, and I've transitioned from all of those different brands, you know, sold my gear, bought new gear. I'm always trying new things, and that's something that I just like to do. I like to see how other brands approach the same type of product, what things they do better, what things they do worse, and just kind of have that experience as part of this job of being a tech reviewer here. I think it's really important to try a bunch of different systems, know which brands do things better, and it just gives me more to draw on when I'm making recommendations and doing tutorials. And it's also just really healthy. You know, I've been on Android for so long, for 13 years, and so it's just nice to change things up and dive into a world that I'm completely unfamiliar with, have to learn new things. I'm actually really excited for that whole transition. So now that I've shared the things that I'm looking forward to, there are 4 things that I'm not looking forward to during this transition. The first one is getting all of my data and apps and all of that stuff off of my Android and onto my iPhone. It's going to be a bit of a process to switch brands like that, and I was warned last night at the Apple Store that it's going to take some time and I'm going to have to back up everything on my phone and basically start fresh on an iPhone and just figure out what apps I actually need and set everything up. And so, you know, related to the point that I am looking forward to, I'm looking forward to starting fresh, starting new, but it also takes a bunch of time to do that. And so I'm just not looking forward to the time that's going to be required to make that transition over. Along those lines, I'm not looking forward to the learning curve of using an iPhone because, as I said before, I can use this Samsung Galaxy like with my eyes closed. Like, I just know where all of the buttons and the commands are, and I can use it so quickly, like without even thinking twice. And that's not going to be the case with the iPhone. I'm going to have to really reprogram my muscle memory to learn how to use the iPhone. I'm sure there will be some frustrating moments, but again, I am partially looking forward to it because it's something new, but also kind of dreading it because it's something new. The third thing I'm not looking forward to is also transitioning my accessories, my physical things. Like the dongles. I actually had to pick up, you know, a lightning cable last night because I don't really have one. And things like the MagSafe charger, I mean, this is not necessary, but it's definitely a nice to have. And I'm gonna have to get, you know, I don't even think, yeah, there's no headphone jack. I'm still using a 3.5mm headphone on my Android, so I need to get maybe a new set of headphones. I actually just thought of that. So there are things like that that I've been so used to using on my Android that I'm gonna have to rethink how I'm gonna use those things on my iPhone. And the last thing that I'm kind of nervous about is related to that last point, and that is just the whole Apple ecosystem. So as I said before, like, I'm not really a brand loyalist. In some ways I am. Like, I have been using my MacBook for a really long time. I've actually only owned an Apple computer in my life, but this is only my second iPhone I've ever owned. I've never owned an iPad. I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't have AirPods. Like, I don't really buy into the whole Apple ecosystem, and I'm not looking to do that. But I am a little nervous that the more that I use my iPhone, I might want to start buying into the ecosystem. So we'll see if that happens, but you know, for now, like, I just got a Garmin watch, which I really like, and I really hope it works with my phone. But yeah, I like being able to try things that are not specific to one brand. And so I'm not currently planning to dive deep into the Apple ecosystem, but some of that might start to happen. We'll see. So I've given you 7 reasons why I'm making that transition from Android to iPhone, and 4 things that I'm not really looking forward to during the transition. But you know, this is just my first impressions video. I haven't even used the iPhone yet, and so I will be making more videos during my experience to kind of document how things are going, and also to share some tips and tutorials as I get to know the Apple product. Speaking of, if you guys have any YouTube tutorials or resources on how a complete iPhone noob can get started with an iPhone, then I would really appreciate it, because I need to learn as much as I can, as fast as I can, so I can start making some content for you guys about it. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. I would love to know how many of you guys have made a transition like this. If you've gone from Android to iPhone or iPhone to Android. I might regret asking this, but give me your reasons for making those transitions. Not that I need to convince myself that I just made a huge mistake, but I do actually have a return window where I can return the iPhone and go back to Android. It was actually presented to me at the Apple Store last night, where they said, if you really regret what you did, then you have, you know, about 30 days or so to change your mind and go back. I don't plan to do that, but you know, it's just nice to know that it's there as an option. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll stick around and watch the journey as it unfolds. But yeah, I will see you in the next video.